Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Israel Wake Up. This is our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night, the 6th of, the 18th of June, 2026. Okay, we'll be reading our three chapters. We'll be reading out of the book of Genesis, chapter 17, 18, and 19. We're going to read each chapter, break it down, we talk about it. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, to Israel Wake Up, check out our videos. We have over 200 or so videos so far that you can look at and examine, get the meat out. These videos that lead to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. Okay, Israel Wake Up is a sister channel to our Prophets of Awakening. Okay, but this is a non-Messianic channel. For those that don't know, we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, from Genesis to Malachi, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist uh, Hebrew women who are waking up to their true identity and understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to this channel, and welcome to our Women's Bible Study Night. Okay, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, psalms. We have a women's health moment with Michelle, current events. We have some need to know information. We'll open it up with questions, any comments, dialogue, any testimonies. And then our topic for discussion is what Trump looks like uh, as of this day. You want to check it out and look at some of the some pictures of how it seems as if he's falling apart. Okay, I guess you can use that word. Like I said, our scripture reading will be Genesis chapters 17, 18, and 19. We're going to read them and break the chapters down. There we go. Then we'll pick a scripture like we normally do at the end of the class. We're going to break that scripture down and talk about it, and then we'll close out. Okay? This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments, and your testimony, and your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you at this hour so very much. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to read the song right quick. Okay? I'll read 26, Psalms 26. It says, judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord, therefore shall I not slide. Examine me, O Lord, prove me, try my reins and my heart. For thy loving kindness is before mine eyes, and I have walked in thy truth. I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers. I have hated the congregation of the evildoers, and I will not sit with the wicked. I will wash my hands in innocency. So will I compass thine altar, O Lord, that I may publish with the voice of thanksgiving and tell of all thy wondrous works. Lord, I have loved the habitation of thy house, excuse me, and the place where thine honor dwelleth. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. But as for me, I will walk in mine integrity, redeem me, and be merciful unto me. My foot standeth in an even place. In the congregation will I bless the Lord. Okay, that was Psalm 26, and it's a Psalm of David. Okay, so with that being said, if nobody have any comments, we're gonna go to our women's health moment with Michelle. Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Yes, sir. I can hear you now. Um, Internet connection is bad, so if I cut out, I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Shalom, everyone. Please know that the information shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on the benefits of castor oil. Castor oil is made by pressing the seeds of the castor plant, valued for its antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties. It is often used in soaps, massage oils, and natural remedies. For centuries, people have used castor oil for health and beauty purposes, largely because of its unsaturated fatty acids. Traditionally, it has been used internally and externally to support skin health, help with certain infections, relieve constipation, support the immune system, and encourage healthier hair. Here's a rundown of castor oil's benefits. Natural arthritis remedy. Castor oil's anti-inflammatory properties make an excellent massage oil for joints, sore muscles, and inflammation of your nerves. Getting rid of stretch marks. Stretch marks are often caused by pregnancy and rapid weight gain, but can also be a result of aging, hormonal imbalance, sudden weight loss, and swelling. Castor oil is known as one of the best treatments for a variety of skin conditions, eliminating fine lines and wrinkles, getting rid of corns, cure fungal infection, relieve constipation. When we talk about the wonderful benefits of castor oil, it is impossible not to mention constipation. The powerful laxative properties make castor oil become an effective natural remedy for constipation. You just need to consume 1 teaspoon of castor oil in the morning. It is great to boost hair growth. Using this castor oil speeds up hair growth. Therefore, to make your hair thicker and longer, you should add castor oil to the hair care routine daily. Cure cracked heels. If you suffer from cracked heels, you should try castor oil as an effective natural remedy. The essential nutrients in castor oil can be observed deeply by the skin. The use of castor oil can add moisture and softens to your to your cracked and dry heels to make the heels soft and glow. You just need to apply some castor oil to the cracked heels and wear a pair of socks before bedtime. The bottom line is that castor oil can be a helpful addition to your wellness routine for skin, hair, and digestive health. I will be reading from Jeremiah chapter 3, verses 12 through 15, God's mercy. Verse 12, go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, return, thou backsliding Israel, said the Lord, and I will not cause mine anger to fall upon you. For I am merciful, said the Lord, and I will not keep anger forever. Only acknowledge thine iniquity, that thou hast transgressed against the Lord thy God, and hast scattered thy ways to the strangers under every green tree. And ye have not obeyed my voice, said the Lord. Verse 14, turn, O backsliding children, said the Lord, for I am married unto you, and I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion, and I will give you pastures according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding. Tonight's discussion was on the health benefits of castor oil, and I read from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 3, verses 12 through 15, God's mercy. Shalom.
Okay, appreciate that. We're gonna go to our current events. Okay, we'll play the video, then we'll discuss it. Okay, like we normally do. Okay.
Right now, millions of Americans and people in 11 U.S. cities are being warned by the FBI. But why? That's the big question, and I'm going to address that in today's video. But before I get to this update and before I tell you what the warning is and which cities are being warned, I first want you to do me a favor. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates, and click that subscribe button so you would never miss a video. Let's get right down to it. Look at this right here. It says fake FIFA sites being used to steal private information, according to the FBI. And they are now warning millions of people. But it's not just those fake FIFA sites. It's not just soccer fans that are going to be impacted. It's millions of people. I want to address what's going on. But first, these are the cities that are actually concerning many people. There's Atlanta, Georgia, Boston, Massachusetts, or Foxborough as well. There's Arlington, Texas. There's Houston, Texas, Kansas City, Los Angeles, California, Miami, Florida, New York and New Jersey, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Seattle. Those are the cities right now that are being warned, and for multiple reasons. But first, you need to understand what's happening in some of these cities. Listen to this right here.
Currently getting scammed by an Airbnb host because they're trying to make money on FIFA. This is so fun.
But what exactly is she talking about? Well, here's the thing. Some of these cities are now seeing that people are targeting these soccer fans where they're canceling Airbnbs, or in some cases, they're renting the same Airbnb to multiple people, trying to get them to make some or give them some money, or they can make a little bit extra. But here's the thing. Airbnb is actually being taken out of it. Here's why. What we are now seeing is some of these people are going on to Airbnb to try to rent these different homes and condos and stuff like that. Okay, that's normal. But here's the problem. What these hosts are now doing is they're trying to get you to come off of Airbnb, to do the whole transaction off of Airbnb and pay them in other ways, or pay them at the actual house. And so that's exactly what's happening. People are coming to the house, paying them to get in, and well, some are being let in, others are being told, well, the cleaners are there, you'll have to come back in an hour. You'll have to come back at 4 p.m. when the actual check-in is. And so they give them the money, they give them a key, but guess what? The key, it does work to get into the apartment, get into the condo, but everyone else has the exact same key. It's a problem, and it's turning into a bigger issue than we ever even realized. But here's the reason why FIFA and the FBI are now warning millions of people. Look at this right here. It says the FBI is warning soccer fans to watch out for fraudulent websites impersonating FIFA amid the World Cup this summer. As the agency says, cyber criminals are using fake domains to sell counterfeit tickets and steal personal information. Says in a public service announcement issued Tuesday, the FBI said cyber threat actors have launched spoofing attacks designed to mimic FIFA's official website alongside the event hosted by the US, Canada, and Mexico. Here's the announcement, or what it said. Said the FBI has identified actors engaging in this activity to collect personal information, sell fake World Cup tickets, and hospitality products. If they can try to save you, $1,500 on a couple of tickets, or maybe $1,000 or even $500, many people are going to try to do it. But at the same time, now the FBI is warning there's a lot of scams out there. And if there's a lot of scams, there's a lot of money being tossed around. This is where you need to actually be, a little bit more diligent as to what you're doing. I want to read you some other, or one other thing from the Hill as well. It says right here, spoofed websites are being used to intentionally deceive users into thinking they're interacting with a legitimate website, according to the FBI. The threat actors are then able to collect personal, identifiable information, including names, addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and even banking accounts. If a threat actor gains access to a victim's PII, secure personally identifiable information, they can create new accounts in a victim's name and ultimately defraud the victim. He went through the email. What he didn't realize is it didn't actually say that he was being accepted to a position at Lumen Field. It didn't say a stadium at all. So my guess is they were sending this out to thousands or millions of people's email addresses, hoping that somebody either applied or wanted to go take on a position at one of these stadiums for the World Cup. And guess what? They got him. So.
Okay, any feedback on that? Anybody heard anything about that? Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna go to this next video. Okay, I don't know if anybody heard anything about the Iran and
the only thing that really matters.
U.S. Deal that just made, peace deal, but it's causing a lot of problems. Check it out.
To me, is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon.
Donald Trump calls it a deal. Iran is claiming victory, but many of the details remain unknown.
It's clear that America has lost this conflict. Trump now needs to declare victory. And this is the weird thing about dealing with somebody with narcissistic personality disorder. He cannot admit that he lost.
Meet Steve Keen, the economist who warned about the 2008 financial crash before it happened. The U.S.-Iran conflict wasn't a victory at all, but a strategic failure that could reshape the Middle East and impact the global economy for years to come.
The only point at which I'll take this peace agreement signed by Donald Trump seriously is when Trump reacts against Israel. This may be the first chapter of the war is over, but I simply cannot believe that it will be ended until such time as Israel realizes it's lost the support of the United States. Now, that will be the true victory for Iran. If you're of sufficient age, or if you have parents that know old nursery rhymes, you'd know the story of the boy who cried wolf. And in this parable, you have a young child who's saying, there's a wolf, and they go and inspect, and there is no wolf. And then they say again, there's a wolf, they go and inspect, there is no wolf. Finally, there is a wolf, and he tries to warn, and nobody takes him seriously, and people in the village get killed. So that classic story is, don't make false warnings. Now, we've got the opposite with Donald Trump here. He's declared peace so many times that it's just like the boy saying there's wolf outside. You simply don't believe that there's a wolf. Now, could there be a deal? There's a possibility that this may finally be something resembling a final deal. There are two formal parties to this agreement, but there are three real parties. The two formal parties, the United States and the Iranian government. The third party, of course, is Israel. And it is the country which began this conflict by persuading Trump that it was a good idea to invade Iran. So much for that good idea. They have to use America's power to overthrow the Shiite religious system that dominates Iran. And they have this false belief that if they simply invaded, the people would take up arms and overthrow the government. Well, that was a total farce. In fact, the Iranians turned out to be extremely well prepared for the sort of attack that America tried launching. And rather than being willing to backtrack, they have been deliberately saying they wish to end the capacity of Israel to cause never-ending wars in the Middle East. It's clear that America has lost this conflict. I saw an interesting comments by Henry Kissinger about how do you maintain the appearance of a superpower. And apparently Kissinger said, simple, don't start a war. America thinks that it's simply a question of firepower. Bring us sufficient firepower, it'll win the conflict. If it had anything like the situation that Americans themselves learned that firepower works, which is the Civil War, where they're on the side of the people fighting against a colonial oppressor, that was America's own experience with its war of independence against the British, then yes, they can win that war. Firepower plus committed personnel wins. But every war that America's got involved in since the Second World War has been one where they've invaded a country and tried to support one side against the other in the belief that the side they support would be the one to be more pro-American. The classic story, because it's coming up to 3/4 of a century since the Vietnam War began. But in that war, the same belief was put across by the Americans: bring in sufficient firepower, we'll kill sufficient Vietnamese, they'll have to concede, we'll win the war. One of the most famous photographs in history is the Americans scrambling out of the American embassy, trying to get away from the invading Vietnamese forces. The North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong successfully invaded the South Vietnam and occupied Saigon, and the war was over. When McNamara met his equivalent in the Vietnamese administration, he was basically flummoxed because as the Secretary of War at the time, to use the term that Pete Hegseth liked to use, was Robert McNamara, and he came from the computing industry. And he basically had a very statistical, numerical approach to the war. The more Vietnamese we kill, the more body bags. The count itself will tell us we're winning. After the war, he finally met with his equivalent from the Vietnamese side, and the Vietnamese equivalent said, "You don't realize that you were fighting a war to win a war. We were fighting a war to survive, and we will fight far harder and far longer than you have any concept of, because we are fighting for our own freedom." Now, Americans have this false belief they're fighting for freedom in the rest of the world. There seems to be this Hollywood way of thinking that just intrudes into their thinking about any conflict like this. So again, Trump thought he was going in to liberate the Iranian people from the oppressive religious system above them. That did not happen. In fact, when you invade a country, you tend to unite the people against you. If you have a war with Iran, then America would come out and support them. In fact, America starts the war with Iran and fundamentally loses the bases to military attacks by the Iranians, but also basically leaves the Arab states to their own devices. So rather than being protected by America against Iran, they were exposed by America against Iran. But the long-term good effect that I can see coming out of this war is a realignment of the politics of the Middle East, so that the Arabic countries, rather than believing they can side with the Americans and effectively also the Israelis against the Iranians, now realize they have to make a real peace deal with Iran. I still can't take this peace deal by Trump seriously. For two reasons. One, he has been doing a pump and dump scheme, announcing peace, and then war's back on, then peace is back on, then war's back on. It's happened so many times, he makes the child who cried wolf look like an amateur. So that alone is making me dubious. But as well, it'll take months to clear the ships in the Gulf. It'll take months to years to rebuild some of the facilities that have been damaged. The economic impact is still to come because we haven't yet experienced the hole in the supply chain from the Gulf that we knew was coming, because with the closure of the Gulf, rather than 100 plus ships getting through a day, it's been of the order of less than 10, substantially less than 10 ships getting through per day for 3 months. And that means that we have run down the stocks that we had for all these essential inputs to production for that 3-month period. Has been the opposite of what America predicted. The outcome of every war since, certainly the Korean War and quite possibly the Second World War, has been the opposite of what America wanted. They lost, they get driven out of the country then goes on its own development path, and of course that development path was almost the opposite of what America thought would happen. So a major reason for invading Vietnam was what they used to call, and I'm not joking, the yellow peril, the idea that the Vietnamese would, if they won in Vietnam, they'd then go invade the rest of Southeast Asia and head down towards Australia. That was a total farce. In fact, the next country that Vietnam had a war with was China. That's the only war that those two countries have had since the end of the Vietnam War. And China and Vietnam are both socialist countries with strong capitalist characteristics. Nothing like what America thought would happen after that war ended. Now this...
Okay, any feedback on that? Anybody got anything on that? What you think?
Shalom, everyone. Shalom, brother. Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, sir. So, just like he was saying, one pit against the other. So when Trump was speaking on building up Israel, and then now he's saying to stop. So he's trying to, like again, like the man said, pit one against the other. So when he was trying in his first term, opening up and sending money so they can build the thing for them to put those heifers in and stuff. I can't remember. Right. Yeah, he was all for that, to building the third temple and everything. And now look at what he's doing. So yeah, it's so. Sir?
Like he said, they lost the war. He just
yeah.
went now.
Right. And then he wants to be talking about, because he was saying he's going to stop the war. You're going to, just like he said for Ukraine, he elect him and he'll stop the war in Ukraine. He's the one who stops all wars. Yeah, so
Right.
now it's like you're saying, he's not going to admit it, regardless what goes on.
Exactly. Anybody else? Okay. So
Shalom.
we go. Okay.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. I'm very, I'm very confused that and I don't understand how the majority of people feel about this. But from I've been hearing, they've been saying no side has really won because they all had to give in some way somehow. But one report I read that even though it was just the leader of Iran and of the United States that signed it, it said something about the United States, along with some other leaders, would make sure at least, and that word stuck out to me, plus this number I'm about to say, $300 billion was given to help them with infrastructure, to help Iran with infrastructure damages in their economy. And I said, at least 300, like what type of, like you didn't win in any way. You said you were going to free the people, like they said in the clip. Their leadership is still in place. They've had different leaders, but the actual leadership is still in place. And then you said you were going to get rid of all of these nuclear weapons, which are still there, which is still on the table. They said they're going to talk their way through it. There was not even a definite, you have to get rid of them. You're just going to talk your way through it. And I thought, oh, this was pointless. He definitely lost. That's all I get from all of this. Shalom.
Right. Anybody else? Okay. So we got our need to know information, and it's the big title of this video is "The World is Against Israel," and what comes next. So to me, just this title alone, it takes you right to the end time. Okay, check it out.
But it is faith, faith. It is found in the God of Israel and in the scriptures, where every Jewish person can discover comfort, purpose, and the true meaning of his history and destiny. Many Jewish people today are seeking to distance themselves from the state of Israel. Perhaps it is because of the growing pressure of anti-Semitism. Perhaps it is because of the influence of the media, the social media. Perhaps it is out of fear. Whatever the reason, it reflects a reality that has often surfaced throughout Jewish history. This is why perhaps we're only about 15 million people, when we're supposed to be perhaps over a billion. It was Leon Blum, the Prime Minister of France from 1936 to 1937, who said, "I am a Jew because when I was born, I would not have chosen it. Because having been born a Jew, I could not escape it." Yet fear and attempts to dissociate oneself from the Jewish people are not the answer. To be Jewish is a great privilege and a unique calling from God. The answer to fear is not distance, but it is faith. Faith. It is found in the God of Israel and in the scriptures, where every Jewish person can discover comfort, purpose, and the true meaning of his history and destiny. And it is precisely when fear is increasing that the nation seems to be moving in a troubling direction, that we must turn our attention to what God.
So the name of this video is "The World is Against Israel." They got everybody thinking these people are Israelites. And what's come next? Then colon, Ezekiel prophecy unfolding before our eyes.
God has already revealed concerning the future. It's all in the scriptures. Now, and finally, in the news today, we're hearing reports of possible agreement between United States and Iran. So mazel tov to United States, right? Negotiations appear to be advancing, and there is even discussions that the Strait of Hormuz may soon reopen fully. If these developments materialize, they would certainly be welcomed as good news for the region and the world economy, even here in Montreal. But the question remains, will that peace last? And what should we expect next? We certainly hope for a long period of peace and stability, yet there are several important developments worth noting. One thing we have learned lately is that while Iran appeared to have lost the war, yet it is still there. It is still undefeated. It was not decapitated, and in many respects, it appears to have emerged with its strategic position quite intact. Recent reports indicate that it has recovered much of its military infrastructures. We are told that it has salvaged 50 of the 69 tunnels system damaged during the conflict and has reopened more than 18 underground missile facilities. Long-range missiles have reportedly been reburied and redeployed. Now, beyond its military capacity, Iran now possesses another strategic asset. In 2023, reports emerged of vast, newly discovered rare earth deposits. Why is this significant? Because the 21st century runs on lithium and rare earth elements, much as the 20th century ran on oil. These minerals are essential for advanced technology, electronics, batteries, and so on. So whoever controls such resources possesses tremendous economic and geopolitical leverage. So we have seen that throughout the conflict, by the way, Iran also launched approximately 400 to 500 missiles at Israel, along with about 1,000 drones, many of them directed towards civilian areas. Its hatred against Israel has not changed. Power, and this is what we see today. This is what we see. From a prophetic perspective, Iran's story is not finished. The nation remains on the stage because the prophecy has not yet reached its final fulfillment. It will when Yeshua comes back. And consider another nation mentioned in Ezekiel 38:39, one that will form part of the coalition against Israel and who today is raising its voice louder and louder against Israel. That is Bet Togarmah, a region mainly identified with modern-day Turkey. Nearly 2,000 years ago, the Jewish historian Josephus associated Togarmah with the Phrygians, who lived in Asia Minor, where Turkey is situated today. The Phrygians were an ancient people who inhabited what is now central Western Turkey. Today, hostility toward Israel from Turkey's leadership has become increasingly vocal, almost as if they cannot wait for the event of the Gog and Magog to start. For example, on May the 4th, 2026, Turkish President Erdogan issued a strong warning that Turkey would launch military operation against Israel in response to Israel's action in Lebanon. He's ready for military confrontations. We're moving into positions that are remarkably consistent with the prophetic scriptures. And so the question before us today is this: how close are we to seeing the stage fully set for the complete fulfillment of these remarkable prophecies that we have in the scriptures?
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. Any feedback on that? What do you think?
Shalom, Brother Lynn.
Okay.
In regards to this last video and the first one, what do you feel like was the thing that made Trump actually sign and agree? Because I'm not understanding why suddenly he signed. I do know last week sometime Iran let America know that other things would be targeted, including like Starlink and SpaceX, Elon Musk facilities that he had in the Middle East. But I'm still confused on what actually made this administration sign a deal. And I guess how that does or doesn't go along with Israel's plan. But Benjamin Netanyahu.
It goes back to they call them the technocrats, those billionaires. If you notice, like I was saying the other day, they had front row seats at his inauguration. They was all around him. We never saw that before in the history of America. Then when he went to go see the Chinese president, he had all them with him. So we have to know that by that Strait of Hormuz being closed, it's affecting all these technocrats. So they the ones putting pressure on him to open that strait back up. So he's under so much pressure to try to open the strait up. He thought that he was going to be able to use the military might, but that didn't work. And so because of that didn't work, now he's in between a rock and a hard place. So he had to submit to a bunch of deals that he didn't want to submit to, which is what reason why Netanyahu and these Israelis are pissed off. So he had to concede because he's being pressured to stop that blockade because it's causing a lot of problems for these people as they profits.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I don't know if this is right or not, but from what I heard in the deal, there was even an agreement, and I don't know how the United States can agree for the Israelis, for Benjamin Netanyahu, but there was even an agreement to stop all attacks on Lebanon. And so I just was curious, what would make the president go to agreeing to all this when it's against what Benjamin Netanyahu wants? But those tech companies will do it.
Right. Like I was saying the other day, well, the reason why I was saying what I said last night is that it's over with. I mean, the whole purpose of the data centers is what I just said. They got a whole nother plan going on, what they're getting ready to do with America and the people of America. They're not included because, like I said, those data centers and bringing them online and everything they're doing with combining Israel's military with theirs is first priority. And like I said, it's gonna if when you understand how everything is happening in the past, as far as the elections, you got to know they're gonna get ran out in November when the midterm elections come. So they got whatever they got to do it before the midterm. So he got all that pressure on him, and then the Strait of Hormuz closed. So like the man said, he lost. He done lost. The thing was, he never should have attacked Iran. But he thought that he was going to be able to do. He was fresh off of doing what he done to Venezuela. He thought that that was the same thing was going to happen. But if he would have just got his cronies to do the research on Iran, he would have knew that it wasn't going to be that easy. And so he's between a rock and a hard place. Okay.
Shalom, everyone. My thought for the question is, remember back when they were speaking on the New World Order? Now that Netanyahu has lost his control over Trump, because obviously he has, and he probably thought he would never lose that power over the United States or, the
Right.
president. So what other nation or other entity is going to step in, being that United States really never was, the idea for the state would be by itself, because Europe was like they said, Christopher Columbus came over in the state of the Queen, and basically behind the scenes, I don't know if it still is, that Europe still controls the United States or still have some stake in it because of Washington, D.C. So at this point, who would take over now?
You're saying Britain still have control over America, right?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
So yeah, they do. They still have control. The Queen Elizabeth and those people, they still in charge. They're not. It's the same. They just have us fooled on how they go. But the main thing to worry about is we know that they're not the Israelites, and so these people got their own end times scenario that they've been plotted up. So if you go back to true Israel in the Tanakh, we see the same thing happening that they staging. What we're looking at now is smoke and mirrors. So they setting it up like Israel is at its end. So the only way Israel gonna get out of this, the whole world will turn against Israel. The only way they're gonna get out of this is the Creator got to show up. So that's what they got staged. So like I said, we just last night I was reading out of Second Kings and how that what happened with Hezekiah. The Syrian army that came and set up outside 100 and some, 180 some, 800,000 troops. They was going to slaughter Israel. They had destroyed every other nation. They was getting ready to destroy Israel. Then Hezekiah prayed, and the Lord came. Lord host came, killed the whole 185,000 men army, and then had the king of Syria killed. So they setting that up as if the same thing gonna happen. That's what they got staged. All is staged. Okay, like I said when I was talking last night, when you understand what's on the horizon when it comes to the video I played about the El Nino, the iceberg, and what's going on with the water system within the Atlantic Ocean, how is all that's Yahweh. And the man was saying how that all that's supposed to be a perfect storm is going to come together in November at the end of this year, or what they got planned is for November. They're not the real people. They got a plan. They got a plan to annihilate the real Israelites. But they got the whole world thinking that they the real Israelites and that they in a pickle. But it's all staged. Okay, like I played yesterday. All of a sudden now it's this big orb or UFO that was over the biggest military installation in America in Colorado this week. So all this smoke and mirrors. They're getting ready to do something. Matter of fact, I got a video right here I'm gonna play in a minute. They got something staged. They got something getting ready to happen where it's gonna look like the Lord intervened. Because right now, the stage they got set now is Israel is in a hopeless situation. Somebody had something?
Yes, sir. I did. Well, I don't know. You can play them. Well, I'll just say it right now. Far as Europe is concerned, is that the beginning of the last empire? What is the last empire? Is it going to be Europe or is it going to be China? Who is going to be the one? Because, like in Revelations, which I think they're going off of this, chapter 17, verse 13 through 14, it says, "These are one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
Right.
These shall make war with a lamb." That who is the lamb?
Jesus. That's what I say. That's in the New Testament. That's their
Mm-hmm.
scenario. That's their scenario. They got set up. That's what they're setting up now. They're making it look like they at a wit's end now. The God, JC got to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They're not the real Israelites. Anybody
Right.
that did any history know that they ain't the real Israelites. So it can't be it can't be prophecy. It ain't. But
Yes.
they had the New Testament there so long that people thinking, the God person that's believe in Jesus and Christianity think that it's unfolding right in front of their eyes, but it's a lie. Like I said, it's smoke and mirrors.
Yes, sir. Because how they're planning it, I think, to me, is when they started with those holograms. That's probably how they're going to really make it happen, huh?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Just happened was holograms when they said these orbs and these orbs was over or NORAD in Colorado. They're saying that all of a sudden these UFOs are over NORAD. And then, like I said, they just came out with the movie 10 days ago, just disclosure. And I talked about how they came up with this. The government is going to come with a disclosure on UFOs. They're going to open up all the files and really tell the world what's going on with the UFOs. And like I said, all of that's tied to the smoke and mirrors. It's all tied to the data centers, tied to what they're getting ready to do. All staged.
So my last question. Would the Lord of Hosts let this carry out to the end of their of those Revelation's prediction? Because it's not the Lord of Hosts prediction, prophecy. Would the Lord of Hosts let them carry it all the way out?
No, it ain't gonna carry out. I was saying from the last night, if you go check out last night's video or class where the guy is telling you about what's getting ready to happen this year. It's already started. They got the El Nino. It's an El Nino like none other, never in the history of the world. And at the same time, you got this iceberg that's the size of Florida. It's already at the stage where it's getting ready to break off, and it's going to cause a big ass rise in the sea level, cause tsunami, and not only that, the AMAC, whatever they call that, but the big current in the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, is then slowed down because of the melting of the ice over there. So we got all these big events, and all of it's gonna come to a head around October, November. Same timeline they got plotted. But like I said, the average person, they can't see none of that because they dealing with JC and they dealing with the New Testament and all that. They can't see none of that. But like I was telling them last night, our Creator, the Lord of Hosts, our God, the God is over Israel, He deals with His creation. When He judge people, He judge them. When He went to Egypt, He used the elements. When He judged the giants, He brought a flood. So this only makes sense right here. He used the elements to shut people down.
Shalom. I apologize. I wasn't able to watch it last night or listen to it. But
Yeah.
yes, sir, just like you said, I believe that because of how he shuts down things when they had the leaving from Egypt, being, Moses brought him out, all those plagues came about. So would there be a plague and this happening at the same time?
It's gonna bring about a plague. If what he's saying, Europe gonna get flooded, it's gonna be 100-foot rise in the water, and all these cities like New Orleans, New Jersey, all that East Coast gonna get flooded. It's gonna bring about a famine. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
sir.
anyway, yeah.
Yes, sir. I just want to say this last thing, and then I'm ready for the video also. Back in the 70s, I think I was around, I could say 10. They were speaking on that. We had a person that was in our square downtown, and he was saying that how all the four corners of United States or the sides were going to fall into the ocean, and just the middle would be there. He says the cone is going to collapse, and I didn't understand that. and I was like, oh, that man is crazy.
Right. All that's happening is when if you do the research, so the water level then went down from the where it was in ancient times. So all it's doing is returning the way it was at. That's all that's happening. Like for instance, the Mediterranean. That whole area is a wicked ass area. When they talk about megalithic cities where the giants was at, it was all around the coastline. That's who the Gentiles are. They people that live on the coastline. So right now the water level has been raised. All those megalithic cities under the water. So what's getting ready to happen is what he did before. Like I said, what he did with the flood.
Yes, sir. So if it's, I'm sorry, again, and I will be quiet. When you said, are they just banking on the fact that the Lord of Hosts said there will be no floods but fire next time, and they're thinking that the world is not, or the certain parts of the earth is not going to flood again, or the whole earth is not going to flood, but he's not speaking on that part, like you said, that the wave is going to be very high. It's going to take away areas, not flood the whole. It's not going to be on the eastern part of the world. It's just going to be on this western side.
On the East Coast. It's going to be the East Coast. America is, where's the problem with Israel at? Where's Israel at? Israel in America, right?
Say that again, sir.
There's people in America, right?
Yes, there's people here.
His people is here, so he got to deliver them out of here.
Yes, sir.
So they was in Egypt. He went to Egypt and brought the plagues to Egypt. So they over here now, he bringing the plagues here to deliver his people. Well, let me find this video. I'm gonna play that,
Yes, sir.
so that people that hadn't heard it. Okay, let me get it. Let's see. Okay. You can see it right here. See. Nope. Okay. Oh, yeah. So I'm still having a problem finding it. So what I'm gonna do is I'll play this video right here and then I'll try to find it. Okay. Yeah. So this is what with the peace deal that's going on. Netanyahu and the Israelis, they have a problem with the peace deal that Trump just signed. So this is what is to be expected that's coming right now is this right here. Let me play it. Okay, here we go.
Everyone understandably gets a bit nervous when an agent of Israel starts predicting a major mass casualty terrorist attack on American soil just days after the American president announces a deal that enrages all of Israel. What's another way they could sabotage a peace deal? with Iran. Another way is false flag. And now Larry Luber, the mouthpiece of Israel, is actually predicting it. So she says, soon there will be a massive Islamic terror attack in America, and the perpetrators will likely have financial ties to podcasters and those who are sowing discord for foreign nations in America. That would be you.
That's Rogan's fear.
That would be what Larry Luber is doing. I predict there will be many casualties, and only then will it be maybe set that the people have been conned into supporting a terrorist psyop to distract you from the threat of Islam. So what this is all about is that she's almost broadcasting that watch for a false flag coming from the Zionists.
Look at Julie Dory. We're going to write it up the top.
It said, she says it will likely be 10 times worse than 9/11, which was also a false flag.
Which is also, why? Because you'll be dancing 10 times as hard to it, Israelis?
So Julian Dory says, it's the way this guy clearly wants an attack to happen that pisses me off more than anything.
That's my boy, Julian Dory. Hilarious.
So if I was a Jew, I would be furious at Larry Luber and people like this, because now people see it coming, and now they know it's going to be a false flag, and this is what makes Jews less safe. When you predict stuff like this. Again, let's remember that the Zionists got the Muslims and Christians, which are actually get along fine together, until Zionists made them think they were enemies. Muslims revere Jesus. They revere the Mother Mary. You know who doesn't? Judaism. So as we've shown you many times, if you go to Israel, they'll spit on Christians, and the people in the tippy top of government just say it's a tradition. So what this does is make Jews less safe. This makes people, so now if there is a false, so when a false flag,
that's the goal.
And so so as Kurt says, that's the goal, because that is the fuel for Zionism. The fuel for Zionism is to make Jews feel unsafe in other parts of the world, so they feel like they have to go to Israel to feel safe. That was the whole deal that they made with Hitler. Am I wrong about that, Kurt?
No, it's very obvious that's what they've been doing, and you can go look it up real easily, and there's plenty of Jews that talk about it. So
here's what Glenn Greenwald says about it. Everyone understandably gets a bit nervous when an agent of Israel starts predicting a major mass casualty terrorist attack on American soil, just days after the American president announces a deal that enrages all.
So all this is happening right now, right after U.S. Trump spurned Israelites, these Israelis. Now they saying a mass tragedy event going to happen in America.
All of Israel. You know who's not upset about this peace deal? Iran. You know who's not upset about this peace deal? Shia Muslims, which are the people who populate Iran and run it. Those are the people who are not upset about this peace deal. In fact, they want it almost as much as Donald Trump wants it. He's desperate for this peace deal because he realizes he screwed up. He has no cards to play. Iran can shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which they've done. And we've now almost burned through all our reserve oil, which means that the economy is going to tank if he doesn't get a peace deal right now and open the Strait of Hormuz back up to open.
Like I said earlier, this whole thing behind it is he had to open the Strait up. His economy is damaging to the U.S. So he had to concede, but he's trying to act as if he's not, but he lost. So yeah. So here's the video right here. We play this.
You know, I've been covering two of the biggest climate stories on the planet, and I just found the third one. And I had no idea that this existed.
Okay.
And it connects everything together. Beneath the Atlantic Ocean runs a giant conveyor belt called AMOC, the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, which is what AMOC stands for. And I know that sounds complex, but stay with me. So what happens is, Warm water flows north from the tropics to Europe. It begins to cool as it goes north, and then it sinks and returns south through the deep ocean to warm water again. Now, this cycle has regulated Earth's climate for thousands of years. But as you know, Greenland is melting. And as it melts, it's sending a bunch of fresh water pouring into the North Atlantic. And that fresh water doesn't sink the same way that salt water does. So what happens is it disrupts the cycle. Scientists are watching AMOC show signs of slowing and weakening. Now, a weakened AMOC means altered rainfall, rising sea levels along the U.S. and East coastlines, and a colder Europe. Now, here's why all of that stuff matters. In Antarctica right now sits a glacier the size of Florida. Scientists call it the Doomsday Glacier, the Thwaites Glacier, if you want to do some research on it. Its eastern ice shelf right now is expected to start to break apart this year in 2026. Not this century, this year.
This year.
So for the last 20 years of satellite data that's been collected, they've been showing fractures multiplying across its shear zones. The pinning point that's holding it right now in place, it's no longer stable. It's accelerating the collapse. If Thwaites Glacier fully goes, scientists are projecting up to 11 feet of global sea level rise, all at the same time around the globe. This means that there would be massive flooding in places like New York, Miami, Mumbai, Bangkok, New Orleans, and most other coastal cities. You see, what would happen is that fresh flooding that would take place, that freshwater flooding into the Southern Ocean, it also feeds into the same circulatory system that we just talked about with AMOC. We're not being given the whole picture, so we have to see the patterns and connect the dots. So now add the third force. El Nino is officially here. NOAA has confirmed it this month, the month of June, and that's the National Oceanic Board that confirmed El Nino is here, and this isn't a typical El Nino. Models from every major international agency are projecting a historic event
never before
of 2026, when all the waters have been heating throughout, possibly the most powerful on record. Subsurface ocean heat in the Pacific is already more than twice what it was the same point during the 2023 event that took place. And remember, El Nino drives heat waves, floods, droughts, it supercharges extreme weather. El Nino doesn't just affect the Pacific, it shifts atmospheric patterns globally. The same patterns that are interacting right now with the disrupted AMOC conveyor belt that we talked about, and an ice destabilization as well in the Southern Ocean. So the systems are talking to each other.
Come on.
Think about it. Think about what's happening right now. Simultaneously, the ocean's conveyor belt that warms Europe is weakening. Antarctica's Doomsday Glacier is cracking apart, and a potential record-breaking El Nino is building in the Pacific Ocean. What could possibly go wrong, right? Now, any of these things by itself is scary, but all three at the
same time
in 2026 is something that climate scientists have never seen before in recorded history. This is a scary ass trifecta, what some might call the perfect storm. Now, I'm not here to tell you what happens next, because I have no idea. Scientists are still working on that themselves. But I will tell you this. The invisible systems that run Earth's climate, they're flashing warning signals right now, all at the same time. And the only thing that's more dangerous than any one of those is for us not knowing that they
Not knowing, right? So we said the invisible systems. So who you think those invisible systems is? Okay, it ain't JC. Okay. Anybody got anything on that? Everybody good? We open it up for some Q&A. Any questions, comments, and dialogue before we read these 3 chapters? Anybody got anything?
Shalom. I was listening, and when the gentleman was talking to, I guess they had the interview. Was that Charlie Kirk he was speaking with? Was that an old one, or I mean, who's the Kirk he was speaking with? Or did it show it?
No, you want to talk to Kirk? Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
Is that the last video?
No, yeah, not the last one, the one before that, when he said, "Okay, Kurt," because I couldn't see, so I didn't know if that was an.
No, he was talking about Charlie Kirk. Yeah, he was talking about Charlie Kirk.
Yes, sir. So
No.
even at that point, they were knowing something because.
Right, that's all smoke and mirrors.
Oh, okay. So.
Right.
Okay. Because it kind of like stunned me. I'm like, I'm listening to it and I'm like, how did he, yeah, he was supposed to be unalived, and now he's on speaking to him. It was kind of, because I couldn't see. So yes, sir.
Right. Exactly. Anybody else? Got anything else? Any questions, comments, and dialogue?
Yes, sir. I'll start with the last video you played. I had saw that when you played it earlier. And it's very interesting because I can't exactly remember what all was said in this BBC video I watched, but it was talking about the El Nino and the El Nina, or La Nina, whichever one however it's pronounced. And it was very interesting because one of the people that were like on the panel per se speaking about this event in 2026, and they think it's going to happen at the end of this year and last into the beginning of 2027. He was speaking about Noah and how evil things were happening in that time, and people were not doing what they were supposed to do, and it was really judgment against those people that weren't doing what they were supposed to do. And he didn't outright say it, but you could tell he was dropping crumbs to lead people to do their own research. And if at the very least, if you don't do your own research, I'm just going to let you believe that you need to get your life together and do what's right, because this El Nino event, along with, he didn't talk about AMEC, but the fact that in the United States, Tornado Alley is actually moving east and south as opposed to the central of the United States. He just kept saying this is a biblical event. And I just was like, I wonder how many people are having their eyes open and their ears open to catch hold of what he's saying. How many Israelites specifically? But I didn't know about AMEC until you played it earlier in the week. And that was eye-opening to know that the currents are moving and changing like they never have before in years since they've been recorded and watched.
Right, and they watching all this. They have the technology to monitor all that. They see all that's happening. They know that. Like he said, they're not telling you the whole story. He told us the whole story. They just telling you about the El Nino and how that it's not normal. But he's telling you that Not only is the El Nino, he's telling you about the AMOC, and he's telling you about this big ass iceberg that they monitoring that's already started cracking. It's already at the point where it's just a matter of time it's going to break off. And when you understand the displacement theory, the displacement situation, when something that big fall into the water, it displaces the water, it causes a tsunami. So that's where we at.
Yes, sir.
There's no way there's no way those three events, they all happen at the same time. Like I said, it's the Lord of hosts, because he knows what they got planned, what they trying to do with what they got planned for us. So, yeah.
And the question you asked after that video, who controls that, and it's not JC. What I thought about when you played that video earlier before today is when you're reading the book of Enoch, and it lets the reader know that there's all types of spirits for everything. And again, none of them waited to come around when JC was born, but there's all types of spirit for the clouds, the rain, everything that control those things. And
Right.
it's something to see them. Yes, sir.
Exactly.
It's something to see them doing something now so drastic that people are saying ever since we've been observing the currents, we've never seen this shift like this.
Exactly.
Brother Leonard, scripturally speaking, in 2 Kings 17, verse 24, where the people from different nations are placed in Samaria.
Right.
So it is not just Esau or Edomites that currently now in 2026 believe themselves to be sons and daughters of Jacob, even though they're not, because it was even non-Edomites that were put there. So unfortunately, there's a mix of people that believe they're of Jacob and they're not.
Right. Yeah.
Along
Yeah.
with Esau.
You got the Khazarians that when you go back and listen to the story, what happened with them, they was caught in between Islam and Judaism. And they was a warlike nation. The biggest, they was huge. They was bigger than the Syrian army was. And so they had to come to a decision in order to survive, whether to choose Islam or choose Judaism. So they chose Judaism. So then when you understand after they was converted to Judaism, they proselytized a lot of people. You're dealing with proselytes. Like the story with the Israelites. They don't with Edom. People don't know that was Edom in the land from 143 BC to 70 AD. And they were kicked out. And went and sent to Spain and Portugal, where Esau got 12 sons. It was 10 nations that they put in the land during the time of Sennacherib, and they replaced the 10 tribes, and then Esau got 12 sons. That's 22 nations right there. Then these people, the Arabs, the Israelites, and some of them, it's all kind of people all over the place that has been proselytes. They're not Israelites. They've taken up the religion of the Judaism, and that's what we're dealing with today. That's the lie that these people are doing now, because all they want is numbers. So what you see them doing now in Israel, the so-called Aliyah project, they going and getting proselytes and bringing them back in planes. For a prime example is you go to Second Kings chapter 17. 2 Kings chapter 17. And then you go down to verse 24. The verse you was talking about, it names the nations that replaced the Israelites. He took the 10 tribes of Assyria, and he brought in the other nations, and 24 names these people. And the king of Assyria brought from Babylon, from Kukut, Ava. So that when you go do research on that Ava, that's Ethiopia. That's Ethiopian people that's claiming to be Israelites. That's where all the churches, all that being built from.
That is something else
Oh
because
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the part that's disheartening when you hear Negroes trying to defend JC and that whole situation, not understanding how far off they are. And now we see right now in these last days that he's waking his people up. That's who they trying to do. That's the hook they're using. They're using the Ethiopian Bible and Ethiopia to try to solidify JC. They accepting the fact now that he black just to keep that ideology going. When they use Ethiopia, like I said, all you have to do is look at the nation of Ethiopia, the people today, and look at us over here. We don't look like them. We ain't tied to them. Two different type of people. But and so when you go back and look at the timeline that those 10 tribes was there, the Samaritans, that was over 200-300 years. So they think that they Israelites. They was given the law, and they still came to the law, and they was keeping it the same way that we was. Keeping the Sabbath, all that. So they think they Jews. Oh yeah. But the real Israelites was told, it was prophesied to them, they was going to discontinue from their heritage. These people ain't discontinued from their heritage. They still connected to those so-called churches that are built in the ground, underground and all that. They still connected to it. The true Israelite was disconnected from his heritage. We find out now our heritage. Okay. Okay. So yeah. Anybody else got anything before we I'm gonna play this video, then we're gonna read these chapters.
I have a Brother Leonard, I have a quick question. I'm sorry. Has anybody personally noticed Sister Cheryl mentioned something like plagues, like strange insects or anything, reptiles, anything just overpopulating an area? I just recently, my grandmother and I back here in our garden, this is the normal time for rain to fall and mosquitoes to bite. And I asked her today, she was coming out from the garden, I was going in. I said, did the mosquitoes get you? She said, no, that's neither here nor there. But she said, these flies keep biting me. And I looked at her and I said, the same thing happened to me yesterday. And she said, if they bite you so hard, it seems like mosquitoes. But this has never happened. We know they're not horse flies. We don't live around flies that this is something normal. But I just couldn't help when she said it was happening to her too, think, well, is there something changing or is it just a one-time thing? But I was just wondering if anybody else had noticed, I don't know, strange like things where they live at. Shalom.
Right. Oh yeah. I was saying before. You can see different odd looking insects now that you don't. I noticed some that you never ought to really see, but all of a sudden they show up. They don't look right. I've been noticing that. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So yeah. And like I said, that I was talking about last night, the laboratories, they got biolabs. We're not talking about the data centers. They got biolabs. So yeah. So
Shalom. I wanted to integrate on that. Yes, sir. So they were showing how they were saying that because people dump the pills and things into their toilets and things like that, and now they're um, having frogs with 6 legs and all kinds of you know amphibians and things like that, just looking very weird. And a couple of people that was in Florida showed that they saw a frog that had through three at the top and two at the bottom, and it's just like they're saying it's because of the medicine that people just dump in the water.
right,
Yeah, and it's just a lot of things happening, and they're seeing a lot of weird stuff as far as the reptiles.
right, exactly. Yeah, like I said, the DNA is only going it's going to do whatever it is introduced to it. It's going to do it. That's how the Most High created it. Yeah, the DNA ain't gonna lie. That's like I said. If a man, if a black man sleep with a black woman, a white woman, then you can't hide the blackness that's gonna be in the baby. The DNA gonna show it. DNA is gonna tell the truth. That's how it is. Yeah. So yeah. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna play this video. Then we'll read those 3 chapters out of Genesis. Okay, I thought this is pretty interesting right here. Let me set it up. Okay, do the same thing I did last night. Hold up. Okay.
All right, so Donald Trump went to this G7 summit, and when I tell you he looks like absolute death, I mean it. Not only does he look like death, he also sounds like death. So it sounds like he's got a cold on top of all the other health issues he's dealing with. He's rotting away in front of us, both physically and mentally. He's becoming decrepit. He also looks like bloated, almost like he has like rigor mortis. He's like a corpse that's like bloating in the sun or something. Like you see a deer on the side of the road after it got hit by a car and is like fucking stiffening up and bloating. Like he looks like that. So they're hiding so much from us, man. I cannot wait until we get the tell-all books. I wish they'd come out now, but I cannot wait to get all the specifics to know just how bad it actually is. But he goes to this G7 summit, and it's a fucking catastrophe, bro. I mean, I'm talking other world leaders are looking at each other like, the fuck is he okay? Like, what's happening here? He doesn't know whether he's coming or going, and I got a lot to show you. So first, shout out to Midas Touch. Let's listen to this breakdown right here.
So I've been watching Trump for the past day or so at this G7 summit in France, and there's clearly something going on with his health. He's looked awful. I mean, just look at him in this picture trying to sit down. It did not go well for him. His voice has been incredibly hoarse. He keeps walking in the wrong directions. He doesn't seem to know where he is at times, what's going on at times. His ankles look incredibly swollen. I mean, let's just go through some of the things I've noticed. First, there was this photo, and if you zoom in on Donald Trump's hand, you can see that once again, he's got the makeup caked on. Here's another shot of his hand from today.
What the fuck? What is that, bro? What is that? First of all, he looks horrible here. He looks like he's slowly morphing into Miss Doubtfire. I have a theory that all old white men slowly morph into Miss Doubtfire. I'm dreading the day that I look in the mirror and I go, Miss Doubtfire. Like I've hit the Doubtfire phase of being an old white man. But he looks horrible here, but look at the hand that you're about to see. Watch this
photo, and if you zoom in on Donald Trump's hand, you can see that once again, he's got the makeup caked on. Here's another shot.
This is Navon Edge, the personal assistant for frequent business travelers. Navon Edge learns what you love down to the smallest details and finds your perfect flow.
I've never even seen some shit like this. What are those lines? Bro's hand is morphing into like leather or something. Oh my days. What did he like put like a latex fucking like Band-Aid or some shit over it to try to make it look like it's his hand because it's so that discolored? I don't even know what's going on, bro.
Out of his hand from today. And so that was just his right hand. When you look at his left hand, you see that he has this little weird mark right over here.
What is that? Looks like a cut. It looks like a cut, like he got like cut.
There's a quick close-up for you.
What the fuck is that? What are they doing? Are they bloodletting this man like we live in 1789? Is that what's happening?
Here's a photo that Ukrainian President Zelensky posted on his social media, but let's zoom in for a second. Once again,
oh man, hold up. He looks like Jabba the Hutt straight up. Look at this. He looks like Jabba the Hutt.
So that Ukrainian President Zelensky posted on his social media, but let's zoom in for a second. Once again, you see that intense swelling in his ankles.
Oh no. Guys, like I told you, they said it was chronic venous insufficiency, but what they didn't tell you is if it's chronic venous insufficiency, okay, if it's that, what would happen is it would have been there for a while, okay? The fact that it came on, it's acute, the swelling is acute, means it's almost certainly tied to congestive heart failure. That's what they say. That's what doctors say. The fact that we never saw this before and then now it happened like that means it's probably tied to congestive heart failure, which wouldn't be surprising. He eats like absolute shit and he's 80 and obese.
Then there was this moment where he needed Indian Prime Minister Modi to help him get up a tiny little step.
Oh.
This moment after a photo where he starts wandering in the wrong direction.
Oh.
You can see Macron and the other leaders say, other side, you're going in the wrong way, and to redirect him. Then there was this strange moment where he grabs Brigitte Macron's hand and doesn't let go.
What the fuck is this?
He seems to completely lack the strength in his right hand to do his typical handshake. There was also this moment where the world leaders were posing for a photo around this table, and Trump just doesn't seem to know where he is at all. He's just standing there looking off to the side while everybody else is posing.
Oh no. Oh.
Okay, so what's the time? Anybody got anything?
Yes, sir. It seems that they're afraid to allow the vice president to take over, because at this point, the president is being incoherent. He shows, like they're saying, signs of dementia, which they say he doesn't have. He's shown a lot of signs that he's not going to, be fit to continue into his, this is his second year, right?
Right, yeah.
So he's not going to go into the third year, but they will not allow or denounce him and have J.D. Vance, which he is, to me, not capable of being the president. So they're going to drag him on and let him be the puppet that they need him to be.
Okay, I go for that. Anybody else? Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna go to we're gonna read our 3 chapters, then we'll pick a scripture and close out. We in Genesis chapter 17. You want to read chapter 17, Brittany?
Shalom. Yes, I can read Genesis 17.
Yeah, I'll read 18, 19. Okay.
Okay. Genesis chapter 17. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and I will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generation for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. Verse 10, this is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations. He that is born in the house, or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh, for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. And God said unto Abraham, as for Sarai thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac. With Sarah shall I bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. Verse 23, and Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the selfsame day, as God had said unto him. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. In the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son. And all the men of his house, born in the house, and bought with money of the stranger, were circumcised with him. And that's Genesis chapter 17.
Okay, you got any feedback on that?
Yes, sir. So in the beginning, verses 1 through 7, when you compare them later on to talking about Sarah in verse 19, and I didn't get this initially because we're just all I know I was, I don't want to speak for everybody, brainwashed to believe the seed is in the woman, but it's very clear that the seed comes from man. And we've heard this story so long or so often, Brother Leonard, even when we're in the church, even well before we're in the truth, we hear him say, well, or not him, excuse me, Sarah say sleep with my handmaid here, because the prophecy is it'll be your seed. And it never occurred to me, even though I knew that's what she said, that basically she was saying your seed has to come from you. It doesn't matter who else. But we do see here that the Lord of hosts even reaffirms that Sarah is who's going to hold the seed that will have that covenant. And I can't remember where it was. 12, the number 12. I had always wondered why Ishmael in verse 20, and as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. If you could expound on that, why exactly was it 12? It almost seems like a copy of Isaac.
That's how he operate.
Yes, sir. Okay.
That's his number, 12. Esau got 12 sons. That's how he operate. Then you go to the table of nations in 10, see how he dealing with 7. Gomer got 7 sons. That's how he operate.
Yes, sir.
What's her name? Cook got 7 sons.
Okay.
That's how he operate. That's his signature. That's how the Lord holds word.
And Brother Leonard, verses 24 and 25. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. I have no knowledge about the reality of Israelites alive today that are circumcised or not. Just going back to once you know what's right, doing what's right. I've read this before, but again, just reading it now, it shines a light on when you know what's right, do what's right. Whether you're 99 years old, 13, or just 2 years old, you're past the time you need to go ahead and get circumcised because you know to do it.
Yeah, you gotta right or wrong. That's how they go. Okay. So yeah. And verse 27 for just for GP, those are the giants. Remember Abraham had the giants, 200 giants that went and saved Lot?
Oh, those are the strangers who got circumcised.
They got circumcised. That's what brought about the giant war. Was because of the giants. It was giants that hated the Israelites, but now they got giants that got circumcised. They had a problem with the ones that wasn't the uncircumcised. Don't have a problem with the circumcised. That's what brought about the war, the division. Okay. So I'm in chapter 18. This is when the 3 angels came to Abraham. We'll read that. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day, lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. And let a little water, I pray thee, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, So do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent on the cellar, and he said, Make ready quickly 3 morsels of measures, fine meal, kneaded, and make cakes upon the heat. And Abraham ran unto the herd, fetched a calf tender and good, gave it unto a young man, and he hastened to dress it. And he took butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. So these three angels, that he fixed a meal for them. 9, and they said unto him, where is Sarah, thy wife? And he said, behold, in a tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of a woman. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also. And the Lord said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed, I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, nay, but thou did laugh. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them to the way. And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham the thing which I do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken of him. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sins is very, very grievous, I will go down now, see whether they have done any more according to the cry of it, which is come up unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near and said, will thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Will thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein, that be far from thee, to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee? Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then will I spare all the place for their sake. And Abraham answered and said, behold, I have taken up upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. And he spake unto him yet again and said, peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto him, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there be 30 be found there. And he said, I will not do it, if I find 30 there. And he said, behold, now I have spoken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way as soon as he had left communion with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place. So that was chapter 18. And so what we're looking at right here, this is one of the things I've been people not getting. So he tells him right here, Abraham talking to the Lord, it's an angel. Like we see over here when we start out in chapter 18, 3 angels come. 2 on went to Sodom. Abraham stayed with the Lord. The Lord is an angel. But not only that, if you go to 20, I'm starting at 23. Abraham drew nigh and said, will thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there'll be 50 righteous. Let me see if I'm right. Yeah, 50 righteous in the city. Will thou also destroy and not spare the place of the 50 righteous that are there, that be far from thee, to do after the manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that it be far from thee. Shall not, here you go, shall not the judge, so he the judge, just the judge, not Yahweh, shall not the judge of all the earth do right? So not only is he an angel, he the judge. And so you say, what are you talking about? Well, we see the same thing happening with Hezekiah from last night. And after he finished talking to Hezekiah, he went and killed 180-some thousand people. It's him. He the angel of the Lord that went and killed him. He was talking to Hezekiah, then he went from Hezekiah and he went and killed 180,000 Assyrians. And we see the same thing right here. Abraham talking to this angel. 3 of them came. He's talking to the Lord of hosts. And then Abraham say, you being a judge, you're gonna spare, if it's some righteous people there, will you spare them? So like I said, this is elementary. Any comments? So I'll go to chapter 19. 2 angels visit Lot. See that? So we started with 3. Genesis 18, 3 angels visit Abraham. Now, chapter 19, 2 angels visit Lot. One of them stayed with Abraham. That's the Lord. It ain't Yahweh. It's the Lord of hosts. Okay? And there came 2 angels to Sodom at evening, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground, and he said, behold, now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rest, or rise up early, and go on your way. And they said, nay, but we shall abide in the streets all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned in unto him, and entered into his house, and he made them a feast. Here you go again, they eating a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Okay, but before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round about, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and they said unto him, where are the men which came in to thee this night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after him. And he said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters, which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as it is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he would needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them? And they oppressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hands and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, hast thou here any besides son-in-law and thy sons and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxing great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his son-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get up out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his son-in-law. And when the morning arose, being the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stand thou in any of the plains, escape to the mountains, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my Lord. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me, in saving my life, and I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil take me, and I die. Behold now, the city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither. It is not a little one, and my soul shall live. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted this concerning this thing also, and I will not overthrow this city for which thou hast spoken. Has hastened thee, escape thither, for I cannot do anything till thou become thither. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar, and the sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstones and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plains and all the inhabitants of the cities and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillow of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning to the place of where he stood before the Lord, and he looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plains. And behold, and lo, the smoke of the city went up as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plains, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelled. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountains, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we shall lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn and unto the younger, behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou in and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lied with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both of the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger, she also bore a son, called his name Benjamin, and the same is the father of the children of the Ammonites unto this day. So that was Genesis chapter 19. So any comments on that? Anybody got anything?
Shalom. The comment I had was on the last bit you were reading, verse 34, where the firstborn daughter talks to the younger about basically getting their father drunk to lie with him to save his seed. Again, it's his seed, not so that we can save our seed. However, when reading chapter 19, we know this is Sodom and Gomorrah, and Lot knew something about the Lord of hosts because he was with Abraham for all that time, even before Abraham left and started the journey away from family. And this makes me think, I know we're not literally in Sodom and Gomorrah, but how as we're awakening now, that is very important as and man, I don't know what his wife was teaching his daughters, but anyway, for females to make sure we're teaching our younger, whether it's children, nieces, nephews, whatever, even granddaughters, whatever the case is, right from wrong. It never dawned on me in church that Lot and maybe his daughters, I don't know if he had his daughters before he separated from Abraham, but Lot and his wife had to have some knowledge of right and wrong. And we know that from the beginning when he won't let the men take the angels. But it's like his daughters did not, it's like they learned from the world around them seemingly, and they really thought that they needed to do what they were doing. And that's just eye-opening to read this story all again and know that just how close Lot was to Abraham, and his daughters unfortunately were given in to what they learned from what was around them instead of doing what was right. Shalom.
Right. Well, his son-in-law, they're not Israelites, and then those girls, the mother not Israelite. Lot met all those people in when he got into Sodom and Gomorrah. So their DNA messed up. That's why his son, he told his sons about it, what was getting ready to happen. They laughed at him. And so these girls and the mother, look what the mother did. She looked back. It's all because of their DNA, where they from that place. Lot came in and he met her and engaged with them. That's how all that went down. Okay. So somebody want to read the scripture, and then we'll break it down and close out. Okay, I'll read one. Okay. Let me get Job. Okay. Okay, Ezra. So in Ezra, chapter 2, it says, now, these are the children of the province that went up out of the captivity. So this the Babylonian, they're leaving the Babylonian captivity, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was talking about this last night. Now, these are the children of the province that went up out of the captivity of those that had been carried away, which Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away under Babylon. Then he tell you point blank who they are. And they came again to Jerusalem. So they left Babylon, came back to Jerusalem, and Judah and everyone unto his city, which came with Zerubbabel. See that? That's the Messiah in Daniel 9:25. Joshua, that's the high priest. Nehemiah with him. Sirah, Rela, Mordecai is with them. See that? All these people was in the captivity in Babylon. They came back with Zerubbabel. Okay. So I thought that was something that needs to be shined on. Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna close out. We're right at two hours. We're gonna close out, and we got our men's advanced Bible study tomorrow night. The women can come into YouTube. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament in Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.